All right, guys. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how I do my backtesting and journaling and a few other tricks that can actually help you to develop confidence in your strategy. Okay. Now, the key to this is you need to first have a strategy. If you are backtesting or you want to check how well your strategy works or how well it is going to perform, because that's basically what backtesting is all about anyway. You are basically trying to like check how that plan or that strategy, or what we can also call edge, we want to see how it performs over time, like over historical data. Okay, that's pretty much what backtesting is all about. You are checking your historical data to see how well your strategy performed in the past. Okay, so I'm basically going to share with you how I personally do my own backtest and how I also use journaling. Okay, backtest can, aside backtest, okay, there are other ways you can also validate your strategy. Okay, there is forward testing. Forward testing is that you are doing it in real time. Okay, so I use both. I'm constantly forward testing. Okay, so that is where journaling comes in, and that's why I'm going to be combining both back testing and journaling in this video, because quite a number of you have asked me, okay, how do I back test using TradingView and all of that. Okay, so the first thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that you need to have a strategy. Okay, your strategy needs to be clearly defined. You need to know, okay, what are the things you need to see on the chart for you to take a trade. Okay, how will you place your stop loss? How will you place your entry point? Okay, so what are the criteria you would look at to take profit? Okay, is it a fixed 1:1 ratio, a fixed 1:2, or 1:3? What are the specific things that governs how you trade? Okay, so you need to first and foremost determine that. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that you already have a strategy. All right, so I'm just gonna go straight to how I backtest using TradingView. Now it's very straightforward. Okay, um my backtest tend to like pay a lot of attention to important data. Okay, I'm this kind of guy who is um crazy about data. Okay, and the reason is because when you have enough data to back up your edge or strategy, it helps you develop confidence in your trade. Okay, tell even when you have a drawdown. Okay, see, the general thing for most trader is when they have a strategy, they feel that it works, they just go over the chart and they try to see, okay, will this strategy or will it not work, without actually taking their time to gather enough data to actually really test the strategy historically. Okay, to see how it performs. um by the time they are in a drawdown, they tend to feel like, okay, the strategy is not working anymore, or maybe something is wrong, and they start looking for another strategy. Okay, they start to look for another strategy. Unknown to them, it might probably even be their psychology, it might not even be the strategy. Okay, so um once you have clearly defined your strategy, then you want to use TradingView. Okay, I'm using the TradingView replay button, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Okay, if now this is only available on the paid plan. Okay, this is only available on the paid plan, but if you don't have the paid plan, I'm going to show you um a few tricks that you can still use to do your back tests if you are unable to get it or you can't afford it. Now, if you go through YouTube, there are ways you can still get a paid version of TradingView for free using the trial. Okay, so if you create a trial account, like you create, if you have an account already, if you create a new account, maybe using a different name or or a different email address, and then you need to input a credit card, of course, but you can opt out before the 30 days free trial would be over. Okay, that's for those of you who cannot, probably for whatever reason, cannot afford to um spend money on the paid version of TradingView. But I do think that if you have the money, please just go ahead, purchase the paid version. Okay, it's really worth it. It's worth every penny. I tell you, it is worth every penny. But if for whatever reason you can't afford it, that is something you can do. You can sign up for free trial so that you can use that to backtest your strategy. All right, or I'm going to show you a different approach that you can still use to um do your backtest. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so let me first show you that before I then go over how I backtest. All right, if you, or better still, let me first show you how I backtest, then I will now go back to show you how you can do it even if you don't have the paid version. All right, so like some of you may already know, I trade majorly SMC, specifically the ICT concept, right? And I trade a bunch of different like strategies. Okay, I use the 2022 model. I trade the breakers. I trade. So my strategy is basically is three. Okay, I trade three major models. Okay, I've narrowed down to three major models. Okay, obviously the first one is the 2022 mentorship, and the second one is the turtle soup buy or sell. Basically, when price is taking out an old low or an old high, um, I'm buying it right there. Okay, like an institutional trader. So that one is pretty simple, but of course there are important criteria I look at when I'm doing this. Okay, there are important criteria that I tend to look at before I have the confidence to buy. Right. And the third strategy is the breaker. Okay. I use a breaker. Let me just quickly show you so that by the time you want to back test it, so by the time I'm showing you how I do my back test, you have an idea of what I'm looking for. So the first one, obviously, the 2022 mentorship, when you have equal highs or equal lows, and then price takes out the equal lows, and then there is displacement to the upside that leaves behind the fair value gap. Price returns to the fair value gap, and then that is why I take my entry. And I'll be looking to take profits maybe at a previous day high, previous day low, a significant level that I think price is most likely going to draw to. It could be a fair value gap, another opposing liquidity pool, or whatever. Okay, so this is my first trading model. This, okay, price taking out equal highs or equal lows, displacement to the upside or to the downside, and then retracement into a fair value gap, and I target the opposing liquidity pool. Okay, or a significant price level that I think price will draw to. The second strategy I use is the breaker. Okay, before the breaker, turtle soup. Okay, so turtle soup, if you have a hold high and then price trade down, and then takes out the old high. Okay, right while price is still below the old low. I said old high. While price is still below the old low, then that is where I am buying. Okay, sometimes I trade this. Okay, it might be a little bit risky, but there are specific things I look at that gives me the confidence to do this, which I would also show you. Okay, so let me just share it here, okay? I only buy turtle soup if there is an SMT divergence between the pair I'm trading and G and this pound USD, okay, or DXY. Alright, so if there is no SMT, so for example, if EU is down below an old low and GU is not doing the same thing, okay, maybe GU is unwilling to come down, that's when I tend to have the confidence to buy EU below an old low, okay, so and that's one of the criteria I look at, okay. The other things I look at based on my analysis, maybe based on the PDR rate that is down below here. Sometimes you might there might be a fair value gap, maybe an old fair value gap down below the old low, or maybe another block below the old low, or any other PDR rate, maybe breaker or wherever. That's when I tend to have the confidence to buy below an old low. Okay, another thing I pay attention to is how far down does is price, um like to what extent has price taken out the low, okay? How far down can it go? Okay, if it is, I want to make sure it is less than 20 pips. Okay, if I'm looking to take the trade and it is already down more than 20 pips, I don't take it. Okay, so I'm explaining this so that you would understand that before you can backtest anything, you need to have a strategy first and foremost. You need to the parameters of your strategy needs to be clearly defined. Okay, you need to have the specific things you look at before you take a trade. You need to have specific things that helps you determine what your entry point and your exit point is going to be. Okay, so these are things you need to um first map out. Okay, for example, even your time frame in which you want to trade. Okay, the pair you are trading, you need to narrow down that first and foremost before you, and one thing you need to know is different strategy might perform differently on different pairs. Okay, so a strategy that works on EU might not be work that well on GU and vice versa. Okay, so you need to know what pair. You can't just backtest on one pair and assume that it is going to work on every pair. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so these are important things you need to pay attention to. All right, so this is the second model that I trade. The third model that I trade is a breaker. Um, Maybe price has taken out an old low or an old high, and vice versa for the sell, and then there is displacement to the upside, market structure break, and then return to the breaker here. That's my third model. Okay, so these are the models that I trade majorly. There is another one that is quite similar to the total soup buy. Okay, when there is an equal low, all right, when there is an equal low. So let me use this similar to this. Okay, yeah, similar to this or this, whichever one. If there is equal lows, okay, and down below the equal low there is fair value gap. Okay, I love it. I think that's probably my best model. Okay, similar to the total soup buy. Okay, if there are lots of not just a single swing low. I like to see equal lows or series of like a liquidity pool and then resting below the liquidity pool, there's fair value gap. Okay, and once price taps into the fair value gap, that is why I'm taking my entry and I'm going to target the opposing liquidity pool. So it's similar to the total soup buy, but maybe not exactly the same. Okay, because total soup buy generally does not necessarily require that there should be a fair value gap below it. Okay, but that specific model, okay, maybe like a combination of this and this together. But what I require is equal lows, series of untapped lows, and then resting below it is fair value gap, and then price drops down into the fair value gap, and then that's why I'm taking the trade. an entire day opposing liquidity pool. So these are the models that I trade. So I'm going to just show you if I want to backtest these models, how will I do my backtest. Okay, so I'm going to show you that now. Like I mentioned, I'm using TradingView. I'm going to be using TradingView replay button. Okay, now as some of you already know, I like to. I'm not usually fixed on individual trades. Okay, I'm not usually fixed on individual trades. Like I like to look at everything from the grand scheme of things. Like I'm not just okay taking backtest and just checking. Okay, is this trade, what's the RR or what is it? That's not the things that I like to backtest. I like to backtest important specific data. Okay, for example, um, I could do a backtest on the weekly profile, for example. Okay, when I can look at the weekly profile from Monday to Friday, and I'm checking okay when the low of the week when it did form. Okay, and I check through multiple historical data, and that's something that I like to pay attention to. So there are different things. Backtesting is not just necessarily trade alone. Like okay, you want to check how many winning trades you're going to have based on the strategy over 100 examples. Those are not the only, that is not the only thing I pay attention to. I like to look at, okay, on every day of the week, how many protraction do you see that works to the downside of Judas swing, for example. Okay, so for example, on Monday, there was no Judas swing, okay, to the upside before the down move. Okay, and based on my personal backtesting and historical data, Monday does not tend to have this. Okay, so I don't usually expect to see Judas swing. So these are things that I like. I like to pay attention to. That's what I'm saying in essence. Okay, so when you are backtesting, backtesting is not only just like about your strategy. Okay, there are many things that revolves around your strategy. For example, if I'm expecting the day to be bullish, I want to see a Judas swing to the downside. Okay, so even before we start talking about the model of entering and all of that, um, um, the other things that comes into play. Okay, so but let's assume I don't want to like maybe backtest this specific data, but I only want to focus on just the individual buy and sell. Okay, um let's say I want to catch the daily expansion every day. Okay, the daily expansion every day. Okay, and I want to backtest that strategy. What I would do is I'll take the trading view replay button and I'll place where I want the backtesting to start from on the time frame that I want to use. For example, this is 15-minute time frame, so I'm going to place it to where I want to start. Okay, this is last week. Okay, or whichever day or month or year you want to start from. You can go as far back as wherever it is you want to start from. All right. So for this example, I'm going to use, let's say I want to backtest last week's price action, and I'm looking to catch the daily expansion. Like the day I want to take one trade, one short, 1K per day, the daily expansion. Okay. So let's assume that is what I want to backtest. So I'm going to move my trading view replay button there. Okay, and I'm going to begin to look at it from um I'll start playing it, and as the candle is printing, I would begin to imagine that okay, as mean this is the start of a new day, this is Asia zone is over, and then I'm watching for that protraction where I'm going to take the trade. Okay, so um what's wrong with my network? Guys, I'm having a bit of an issue with my network. I'm not quite sure why. Um, Okay, I think it is back. So basically, what I tend to do is I think something is wrong. Whenever I click on the play button, I'm not quite sure. Let me try it again. Okay. So you start playing it, and whenever you think you have a trade, you are going to pause it, and you would imagine that you are taking it. Okay. So let me just keep playing. So the first day on Monday, for example, um, there was really no trade per se. Okay, none of my model showed up here on Monday. Not the total soup buy, not the 2022 model, none of it. Okay, showed up. So the next day we have after a shell zone. This is a previous day low. Okay, so this can be a total soup buy. Okay, so I can place um my long tool maybe somewhere here. When I'm buying turtle soup, I used to like add like 10 pips. Okay, I used to add 10 pips to it, and then I would place my entry somewhere around here. Okay, so and then I target maybe a fair value gap or a liquidity pool. So let's assume I want to target this fair value gap. Then we have that. Okay, so using the replay button, we have one trade. Okay, then you are going to go to your wherever you use for your journaling. Okay, personally, I use sorry about that. Personally, I use Notion. Okay, I use Notion for my journaling. Um, okay, so guys, this is Notion. Like I said earlier, I use Notion for my journaling, and once you have the trade, once you have a trade on while you are back testing, then you can then head over to Notion, create a table. Now, Notion is a very powerful software that allows you to create beautiful, nice user interface on how you display your data. Okay, so there are multiple views. Okay, you can see, there is a board view, calendar list, gallery, multiples. Okay, so you can, depending on how your own specific preferences, you can like create templates. You can do a bunch of different things. Now if you go online, if you go on YouTube, there are lots of tutorials on how to use Notion. Okay, so I'm not going to go over the whole process all over again. I don't want to do that because the video would be way too long, way too long. Okay, so um basically you create a table. You can create any kind of view you want. You can use the gallery view, you can use the table view or the calendar view, and there are other views in here that you can create. Okay, once you create your view and then maybe you create a template, um okay, you can create a template based on the parameters you want to track. For example, let me if I create a new template, these are basically things that I like to like pay attention to when I'm backtesting, journaling. I like to, okay, I'm obsessed with data, right? I want to look at, okay, for example, the best exit time. I'm looking at, okay, if I'm taking a trade in the morning, maybe during London Q zone, um, when is the best exit? Like if I want to catch the whole daily expansion, when is the best time to exit? And based on this data, I know that it is always best to exit between 11 and 12. Okay, let's say between 10:30 and 12 a.m. New York time. That is usually when the low or high of the day is usually formed. If there is no high impact news during
um New York Q zone or London open Q zone. Sometimes the delay expansion go as could expand as far as even like 1 to 3 p.m. New York time. Okay, but generally on most days, the high and low of the day would be formed between 10:30 and 12 a.m. New York time. Okay, 12 noon New York time. Okay, so that's I'm already I'm saying something else. Okay, so there are important data. These are data that I like to like pay attention to. How far down, how far up the price go below the Asia range. What is the New York direction? Or is there a reversal and all of those things? Okay, so when I'm doing my own back test, I'm not only just paying attention to okay how many RR, what is the win rate of this and that. I like to I'm obsessed with data. Okay, so I like to like check for important things. Okay, how many standard deviation above or below? For example, if you use the CBDR or the Asia range standard deviation to determine how far up or down price can go for that day, like we are trying to like estimate um how far up down price can go for that day. Okay, so like these are data that I like to like pay attention to when I'm backtesting or I'm journaling a trade. These are things I like to look at. Okay, I like to look at over the whole day. I'm not just focused on just that one trade. I'm focused over the other elements of that day. For example, the Asia range, how many pips the Asia range, okay, how many pips is the CBDR range. Some of you might not know CBDR, but it's something is an element of my trade that I tend to look at. Also taught by ICT. If you go to his YouTube channel, okay, you see videos on it as well. Okay, so once you like specify, you enter in the data, your entry point, your take profit, the RR, and if there's any other specific data that you want to impute, you can always create them. Like you can add new properties on Notion, and then you record all of that. Okay, and then you rinse and repeat for different days, different trades, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to head back to TradingView to continue. Okay, so I'm back on TradingView. So we have our first trade. Okay, so what I want to do next is you just keep playing the replay button until your setup shows up. Okay, until your setup shows up. This is another of my model. Okay, we have equal lows in here. All right, this is equal lows. If we go to the low time frame, I think we'll probably see a fair value gap here. I don't want to go to the low time frame. All right, so okay, let me go to the low time frame. I will show you. Okay, you can see that below these lows, this is a trade that I took. Okay, that's why I know. All right, this is a trade I took last week. You can see the fair value gap right there. Okay, and then this is equal lows. You can see the liquidity pool. Okay, so let me head back over to a 15 minutes time frame. So this is one of my model. Okay, and I can place my entry just at the lows, maybe use this, and then I'm going to target all these on top lows. Okay, so all right, so That's another trick. Okay, so you do the same thing over and over different days, and you keep recording the data. Okay, so this is pretty much how I do my back test. I hope it is quite explanatory enough. Now, I promise at the start of the video that I'm going to show you how you can still do the same thing without using the replay button. It might be not be as easy as when you are using the replay button, but at least if you can afford to buy and you don't want to like create the trial version, you don't register for the trial version, the 30-day trial on Tradingview. If you don't want to do that, you can still make do with this approach that I'm going to show you. So let me close this and get rid of this and this. Okay, so if you still want to do the same thing mentioned earlier, you can still have, you can use something like this. Okay, so let's say I want to start here, for example. Okay, you use the rectangle tool right here. Okay, this, and then you drag it to cover the previous data. You have to increase opacity to 100 so that you're not seeing anything, and then the color maybe to white or whichever color you want to use, and you might need to bring the visual that bring to front. All right, so it is hidden now, although when you hover on it you tend to see it, but um not, it's not really fancy, like it's not going to be very easy, but it's something you can still make do with. And then what you want to do is you'll be shifting it. Okay, you'll be shifting it to the right until your model shows up. Okay, okay, just keep on shifting it until you see your model.